Hello everyone. So in this video we will see some S3 replication encryption configuration, AMI sharing process encrypted via KMS, and lastly SSM parameter store hierarchy. So let us start with S3 replication encryption considerations. Okay. So now let's talk about S3 replication and its relation to encrypted objects. So if you enable S3 replication from one bucket to another, then any unencrypted object and objects encrypted with SSE 3 will be replicated by default. Okay. If you do happen to encrypt an object with SSE where it's a customer provided key, they will never be replicated because you would need to provide the key all the time and that doesn't work. And then we have objects encrypted with SSE So by default, they are not replicated, but we need to enable the option to actually replicate these objects. And so we specify with which KMS key we want to encrypt the objects within the target bucket. And then we adapt this as KMS key policy for the target key. And we create an IAM role that is allowing the S3 replication service to first decrypt the data in the source bucket and then re-encrypt the data in the target bucket with the target KMS key. And so when you do this enables replication because you may get KMS throttling errors, in which case you need to ask for a severe service quotas. So a question you may have is, should I use multi-region key with S3 replication? Okay. And the documentation says that you can use multi-region key for S3 replication, but currently they are treated as independent keys by the Amazon S3 service, and therefore the object is still going to be decrypted and then encrypted using the same key even though the key is a multi-region key. Okay. Then AMI sharing process encrypted via KMS. This is around the process to share an AMI with another account, and the AMI has been encrypted with a KMS key. So the AMI is in your source account and it's encrypted with your KMS key. So how do you launch an EC2 instance in account B from the AMI in account A? So first you must modify the AMI property with a launch permission, and the list launch permission allows account B to launch this AMI. So effectively this is how you share an AMI. You must modify the launch permissions and add the specified target to its account ID. Then you need to also share the KMS key for the account B to be able to use it. So this is done usually with a key policy. Then in account B, you would create an IAM role or IAM user with enough permissions to actually use both the KMS key and the AMI. So you must have it on the KMS side access to the describe key API call and re-encrypted API call, create grant and decrypt API calls. And then once all of this is done, you can simply launch an EC2 instance from that AMI, and optionally the target accounts can choose to re-encrypt everything with the KMS key that is owned that it owns in its own accounts to re-encrypt the volumes. But there you go, you can launch an EC2 instance, and so if you understand this process, you are good to go. Next is SSM Parameters Store hierarchy. Okay. So now let's talk about the SSM Parameter Store. It's a secure storage for your configuration and secrets. Optionally, you can choose to encrypt these configurations and therefore make it secrets by using the KMS service. SSM Parameters Store is serverless, it's scalable, it's durable, and the open SDK is very easy to use. On top of it, if you update your parameters, then you have version tracking of them. The security is provided through IAM and you get notifications with Amazon Event Bridge. In certain amount of cases, you have full integration with CloudFormation. That means the CloudFormation can leverage the parameters from parameter store as input parameters for your stacks. So let's take an example. We have an application and then we have the SSM parameter store. So we can store plain text configuration in this way. Then the IAM permission of your application are going to be checked. For example, your EC2 instance role, or you have encrypted configuration In that case, the SSM parameter store is going to encrypt it with KMS. Okay, and of course you need to make sure that your application do have access to underlying KMS key to perform that encryption and decryption. So you can store parameters in the parameter store with a hierarchy. So for example, you can define my department as a path, and underneath the my app, then the dev, and then we have devdb URL, then devdb password with that folder. So that means that your parameters goes all the way down into hierarchy. We can go one level up and store a parameter for the prod db URL as well as a prod db password, and go up to another app or another department that really allows you to organize your parameters the way you want in a structured fashion. And then this is going to simplify your IAM policies to allow application to have access to an entire department or just an entire app, or just to an app department environment specific path. You have also the opportunity to access secrets of secrets manager through the parameter store by using this reference right here. So it's a little trick that not many people know, and there is something called public parameters that are issued by AWS that you can use. For example, if you want to find the latest AMI for the Amazon Index 2 in your specific region, this is something that is available within the parameter store as an API call. So if you take an application, for example, our dev lambda function is going to have an IAM role that allow it to access the DB URL and DB password within the dev of any app. And then if you have a prod lambda function, thanks to again a different IAM policy and maybe some environment variables, you can access the prod db URL and prod db password of another path. Now within system manager, you have two kind of parameter tiers. You have the standard and advanced tier. So the big difference is going to be around the size of 4 KB, which is 8 KB. And also the availability of a parameter policy. For the standard one we have none, but for advanced we have some. The advanced type of parameters is going to be a $0.05 per month, whereas the first one is going to be free for you. Okay, next is, so what are these parameter policies? And this is for only advanced parameters. Well, this allows you to assign a time to live to a parameter, that means to an expiration date, so that you forced user to update or delete sensitive data such as passwords. And you can assign multiple policies at a time. So here is an example policy. So this is an expiration policy. So this is an expiration policy to delete a parameter, and you say, hey, on this timestamp, and you must delete this parameter. And then through the event bridge integration, okay, event bridge is going to get notifications of it. So in this example, 15 days before the parameter expires, we will receive notification in event bridge, which gives us enough time to actually update it and make sure that the parameter is not getting deleted because of TTL. Okay, because of this TTL expiration date. Or maybe sometimes you want to make sure the parameters change once in a while. So you can have no change notification in event bridge, so that if a parameter has not been updated for 20 days, then you will be notified as well. So you can get very, creative with the parameter store. But now you get the idea behind it. So I hope you like this theory part. Now let us move to some hands-on thing. Let me show you some demo that I have created before, and then I'll explain you how you can work on it simply. Okay, so first of all, this is my AWS account. Okay, and here I have made some of the things which might be easier for you. This is basically my lambda function, which I'll be showing you later. Okay, let me show the first step. So in the first step, you have to open the system manager. Okay, systems manager. In this systems manager, you have to go to this parameter store and then click on this parameter store, and then you will have some parameters. Okay, I have made some parameters. What you have to do, you have to create parameter. Okay, I have made these 4 parameters: my app dev db password, my app dev db URL, my app prod db password, my app prod db URL. I'll just give you a demo and then I'll show you how we can create a parameter. You have to click on this create parameter, and then what you have to do, you have to enter a name or path like slash my app, whatever it is, dev db URL. Okay, description you can give app URL for my app development, whatever you want. You can give a short description here. Okay, next is standard and then advanced. As I said, standard is free and advanced can create 10,000 parameters. Parameter value size up to 8 KB. That was basically charges applied here and no additional charges are shown here. Okay, and basically this is the 4 KB extension which is provided in advanced. Then if you are creating a URL, just a URL, you can choose the type string. And if you are using, suppose if you are making a password stuff, then your password must be secured, so you can choose secure string here and your value would be here. So suppose I am just making a simple URL stuff, so I will be giving this okay, let me give c3 dot s3 cloud, okay, .com colon 3067, whatever it is. Okay, I have given this value, and then you can create parameter from here. Okay, you can create your parameter from here. See this create parameter button, you can click it from here and your parameter would be created. Let me show you by creating that with another name. Suppose db, not db URL, not my app. I would be naming this s3 dash app. Okay, and then if I make the parameter, a parameter would be made. Okay, it must not end with a slash. So yep, my parameter is here. Now you can check s3 app dev db URL. This is my parameter, this is air, and this is name, and this is the value stored in it. Now what's the next thing we can do? The next thing we can do is we can create the same password by choosing secure string. See, here is your type secure string. You can do the same way. Like if you want to create a password, so s3 dev app db URL or slash. Okay, I want to give password here. Suppose I want to give password here. So what I'll be doing, I'll just give password. I'll write password for s3, and then I'll be choosing a secure string, and yep, I can keep the KMS key ID as the same. Now what I have to do, I have to give some value. Suppose I am giving s3 cloud.com colon 3306. Okay, I have given this. Now I'll create a parameter. My parameter would be created, and if I'll go and check my password s3 app, this is the stuff I'm checking here. This value is secured basically because I have used secure string here. So this password is secured here. I'll just check it, and yep, it is here. Okay, so now we will see some CLI things. As I have created these parameters, now you can check my parameters. Here are my parameters, like this is my parameter. Okay, and let us look at the parameter store for all the parameters that I have created right now. Okay, I'll check for these. Okay, my app dev db password, my app dev db URL, prod db password, prod db URL. I'll be checking for these. Okay, so let us check for these all things. On CLI, I'll be writing this stuff like suppose I am writing AWS space SSM space get dash parameters, and then what you have to do, you have to give double slash and then names, then slash, and whatever the name of my like this was the name devdb password, I'll just control C and control V here. I'll paste it here. Then I can also search for my DB URL, then giving a space, I'll just control V, I'll paste it here, and DB password, instead of giving DB password, I'll be giving DB URL here. And yep, what you can see, if I am doing this, okay, I have entered AWS SSM get parameters dash dash names space slash my dash app slash dev db, whatever the name of my parameter was, I have entered it. And then if I'll be clicking, wait a minute, okay, just let me handle this. Yeah, here it is. If I press enter, I'll get the information about these two. So I have pressed enter here, and yeah, here is the answers. I got the parameters, like first one is name, my app dev db password, its value is secured here, you can see. And the other one is, as I have written, other one is my db url, and yep, its information is here. So this is how I can do. Suppose I want with decryption, so what I can do, okay, so as I used with decryption, okay, what is the thing, basically, when I am entering this my app slash my app db deb, after this with decryption, I'm not getting the value. You can either write this my app db password with decryption, or you can do one thing to show this error you might get. Suppose I will be entering this whole thing, copied, okay, I'll be entering this whole thing here. Like if I want to check URL parameters too, I'll be just pasting it here, and let me give it some space, and then let's change this password to URL. So I'll get the parameter of that URL which I had created now. Okay, so here is the parameter and command, whatever it was, I got it. Okay, here it is URL, and here it is password, and password is secured here, and now it's decrypted too, because I used this with decryption, so I can say decrypted password too. Okay, so this was Cloud Shell part. This is how I can check my parameters, my created parameters on CLI, or you can say Cloud Shell. Okay, this is how I can create parameters. I showed you just now. This is how I can create parameters. Suppose these are all my parameters. Now what I want to do, I want to make a function, lambda function, and I want to run a Python code and see how I can get these updates there, okay, on that function. So I have created a function, my app. You can also create a function by clicking on this create function part. Okay, on this create function part, you just have to write a function name, whatever function name you want to give. Then you can choose whatever language you want to choose, whatever Python version you want to choose. I had chosen Python 3.7. okay, so this is how you can create your function. You just have to give the default permissions, and then you just have to create a function for that. Right now I had created a function, my app, it is named my app. So I'll be opening it, I'll be showing how I had configured it. So what you have to do, you have to write this code. Wait, let it be loaded. You have to use this code, import JSON. It will be written whenever a function, you will create a Python 3.7 version function, whatever it is, then it will be created here. Okay, import JSON, all these things will be here. You have to insert this import boto3 here. Okay, I am using this import boto3, and then SSM is equal to boto3.client SSM region name US East 1, because I am in that region right now. You can check in Virginia, US East 1. and yep, I have entered the region name. Then you have to enter this def lambda handler event context and db url, as I want to check the url and print the url, and I want to check the password and I want to print the password. If all is okay, then I want the return worked. Okay, I want worked to be printed there, and I also want the logs of these like print and db url and db password. Okay, I want the logs of these. So I had deployed them, I have tested them. See, whenever you will be working on them, you have to give some permissions, like you have to give some roles. Suppose I have created a function, okay, and when I'll be deploying it and I'll be testing it, I might get some errors, and yes, I got some errors earlier. Okay, and now suppose I am testing them. What is it? It is being tested, its response is worked, and yeah, function is here. My parameters are successfully shown here, right? My parameters are here, my function logs is visible to me. But when you will be working on it, you might get some errors. Then what you have to do, you will get some errors. As I have configured it properly, then I am getting this response worked. So for that, you have to go to my app role. Okay, and then in this permission policies, you have to check roles. What you have to do, you have to search IAM. Okay, for giving some permission, you have to go to IAM, click this IAM. This type of page will appear in front of you, and in this web page, what you have to do, you have to click roles here. In this access management, you have to click roles here, and then you have to give some permission policies. Okay, then you will be adding permissions, add permissions, and then you will create inline policy, whatever inline policy you want to create. Suppose, let me show you, I want to create inline policy, and for what? So I want it for systems manager. So I'll just search systems manager, it is here. I'll click it systems manager, and I'll just choose read. And because I have already given parameter, but now suppose I have created another function, so for that I have to choose function 2. So let me give this knowledge to you. Suppose this IAM will appear in front of you. What you have to do, you have to go to uh, roles. Okay, and in this roles part, you will be having these all functions which you have created. Okay, and in these, like IAM role is an identity. Basically, IAM role is an identity you can create that has specific permissions. Okay, and in this you can give, because I have created my function, that lambda function, my app. So this is here, my function is, I want to give some roles to it, some permissions to it. Then I'll click on it, and simply I'll just create some permission, add permission, create inline policy, and then in this part, create inline policy, I'll be giving, suppose I have created systems manager. Okay, in this systems manager, I'll choose a read, and in this read I'll be giving get parameters by path, because I have created system manager, and then I have just checked those parameters. I want to check those parameters, so I'll be reading those parameters, get parameters and get parameters by path, and then I'll just click next. Okay, and then my stuff will be created. Okay, for now let's move it to that my app lambda, and yep, here it was my execution result, and here is my lambda function. This is how you can create a file, and you can check the log stuff here. Okay, so I hope you got this hands-on now, and I would be able to create and deploy the things on your lambda. See, what you have to do, if you get an error, you just have to create an IAM policy, or you have to give some rules, you have to give some permissions, and this permission, basically you have to give get parameters and get parameters by path. Okay, you can click here, and these paths will be created. Let me show you. as I have given some like roles permission policies to my function, my app, basically SSM access. This was the thing that I gave a permission. Okay, I'll check it. Let's verify it. Okay, so here it is. You can check this. I have allowed SSM get parameters by path and SS get parameters. These two roles I have allowed to this my app lambda. Okay, and that is why it is working properly. If I turn it off, it will show some error to me, that error calling, or it will show that error action required get parameters by path. Okay, so that type of error I may get. So before doing it, when you will be testing it, deploying it, if you get an error, you just check your IAM policies. You just check whether in your app you have given some IAM roles or not, you have given permissions or not, and if you have given that, it will simply run and it will be executed successfully. Okay, so I hope this all thing was clear to you. I hope I was able to clearly explain this to you. So let's meet in our next video. Till then, like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.